Hi there. Welcome to this video belonging to a paper that I produced together with Berg Adriaans and published at ACTA 2021 called Subset Sum and the Distribution of Information. Okay, so the whole paper revolves about the partition problem, which is a special instance of the subset sum problem. And its formulation is as follows. You have a set of integers, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, and a target value, which is half of this, these all summed up. So basically the task is to split these integers into two groups, into two subsets, which are equally large. That is the partition problem. Okay. And what you might notice is that these two instances are very different. The bottom one is relatively easy and the top one is relatively hard. And the reason for this is that the top one has no solutions at all, and the bottom one has a lot of solutions. So one is very easily found. So you can split this. This is summed up as 22. So you can make one set of 6 and 5, and you can make one set of 6 and 4 and 1, or 5 and 4 and 2. And then it's equally split up. So it has a lot of solutions, and therefore it is relatively easy. Okay. Now the problem in the most general sense is NP hard or NP complete, depending on its formulation. And that means that there's no exact algorithm which is guaranteed to find the solution if it exists, that runs in polynomial time. Right, so all the exact algorithms, they run in worse than polynomial, usually exponential time or something like that. So bad time, as these instances grow bigger, the time increases drastically. But a key role in the hardness of this problem is played out by the number of bits you need to represent a typical integer. Right, so in the top set, we see that the first integer is a 12-bit number. The second one is an 11-bit number, again 12 bits, 13 bits, and 12 bits. So relatively large numbers. In the bottom set, set 2, the numbers are relatively small. You can represent them with 2 bits, 2 bits, 3 bits, 1 bit, this one, 3 bits, and 3 bits. And that makes a whole lot of difference for this problem. So the partition problem is not just NP hard, it is known as weakly NP hard because the magnitude of the integers in the set measured in the number of informational bits play a critical role. And I have this diagram, I stole it from Brian Hayes from a paper he published in 2002. And he probably got it somewhere else. But what it shows here is the average number of solutions given a subset sum problem, a partition problem of size n with n integers, with typically m bits of information per integer. So what you see is if you have a lot of bits relative to some integers, so over here, so say you have over here you have 10 integers with 50 bits of information per integer, then it's a very hard problem because it hardly has no solutions and you have to try all the combinations of subsets, right? So but if the number is very low, for instance somewhere here, so you might have 10 integers of say 6 bits of information, somewhere like here, then the problem is relatively easy because you expect to have at least 100 perfect partitions, at least 100 solutions to this problem. So that's why it's weakly NP hard. It depends on the number of bits. It also depends on the number of bits per integer. So, and then I started talking to Berg Adriaans, and that's a man with a lot of ideas, and I have a lot of ideas too. And Basically, what he told me was the following conjecture. So it's not just the number of bits per integer, or this is my interpretation of what he said. Let's be correct about that. It's not only the number of bits per integer, but it's also how these bits are actually distributed along these integers. Yeah. For instance, S4 here, this is a set, the partition problem instance, has 36 bits of information, 6 integers, and they're all evenly distributed. It's a completely flat bit template, if you like. But you can also make a slightly ascending bit template. Yes, and it's not perfectly ascending. So it's a small number, somewhat larger, somewhat larger, somewhat larger. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, 7 bits, 8 bits, 9 bits. And if this is a perfect linear scheme, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., Berg Adriaans calls this template the scale-free template. And basically, his idea is that just below this template are the hardest instances of the subset of the partition problem, the hardest instances of the partition problem. And so really what we really have to make clear here is that the number of integers is the same for these two sets. The number of bits is the same. It's just the distribution of bits among these integers which make a difference for the hardness. And it has everything to do with the fractal distribution of solutions in the combinatorial state space. Right, so that's the research question. Does the bit distribution influence hardness? Yes, it does, and we'll get there right away. So basically, we did the following very simple experiment, just first step in exploring these kind of issues, is we chose these 7 templates, right? And these 7 templates are all templates of 12 integers and 78 bits of information, but they varied in their flatness and their eccentricity. So the negative ones are flatter ones. For instance, it's just 6-bit and 7-bit numbers. So they're all approximately equally large. ST0 is this linear scale-free template, 1 bit, 2 bit, 3 bits, 4 bits, 5 bits, 6 bits, 7 bits of information. And ST3 is the most eccentric, so it kind of moves that. It's not perfect because we have to stick to the number of 78 bits and 12 integers. So there's no perfect way of distributing it. But these are the templates we chose. And for each template, we made 10 instances. So this is one example instance of this partition problem stemming from this strict template, as we call them, just a detail. Okay, and so we set out to solving them with a branch and bound algorithm, and that's very simple. It's a depth-first branch and bound algorithm, and basically what it does is it picks the first value, adds the second one is 11, it should go to 12, then it adds the third one. Oh, now it's too big, and it stops adding further numbers. So it prunes off the search tree and it backtracks. Yeah, that's the whole essence of the algorithm. But it is important to notice that it's an exact algorithm, like I talked about in the first slide. So it will find an answer if it exists, and it will return no otherwise with 100% guarantee that there is no answer. Okay, so let's look at some results. And these results are actually, I should say that I find them quite trivial looking back now, but still they give some new insights. And that is that all the instances, so the instances are here, 1 to 10, and 1 to 10, and 1 to 10 for all these different templates, 1 to 10. And basically what you see is that from ST0 upwards to ST1, ST2, and ST3, all subset some instance, all partition problem instances are equally hard. They all take 2048, approximately 2048 recursions for this exact algorithm, which is a good time measure for the hardness. But it's only for the flatter template, starting just below this, just below the scale-free template, that instances get harder, as kind of predicted by the Adriaans conjecture, but they also get easier, because you see here that the easiest instances, they drop a huge part down. Now, how does this come? The reason for this is that the solving algorithm is in its nature a binary algorithm. So it makes a search tree in which every node has degree 2. And if you think about 1 second what that means, is that it starts for these very eccentric templates, of which this last number is at least 2 bits larger than the second largest number. So at least half of the information of this entire subset generated from this template, in any case you generate it, almost half of it is in here, in this final value. So that means it picks the first value, it's too large, oh, throw it away, don't even try the entire subtree anymore, just try the other half. But the other half is so flat, it nearly needs to be traversed completely. So that is where you get the 2048 recursions from, right? And as these strict templates become flatter, like in ST-1, all of a sudden, solutions start to appear because, well, that's what we saw in the earlier slides. So, and when solutions appear, and the flatter these templates are, the more prolific these solutions are. And as these solutions appear, these easier instances are solved more easily. For instance, this instance over here might have 30 or 40 solutions, and the exact algorithm stumbles upon one very early because it has so many solutions, cuts off the search, it's done, doesn't do the rest of the search tree. But in some cases, there are no solutions, and then the entire subtree has to be traversed because these templates do not have the eccentricity to be divided in two by the rudimentary binary algorithm of branch and bound. So does this validate Adriaans conjecture? I'm not really sure yet. We might have to do a little more work, and we might have to see how it exactly pans out. But the first step is, and that's a new insight as far as we know, is that it's not only the number of integers which makes this problem a hard problem, or the magnitude of these integers that makes this problem a hard problem, but also the exact distribution of the informational bits, that's how we measured it, among these elements in the partition problem instance that influence the hardness of this problem. How exactly? Well, it intermingles the easy and the hard problems together. So it's a first step. There's a lot more work to be done. First of all, we want to do some more exact algorithms, and we want to check out some larger instances, make them a little bit larger, and they're undisplayable, but we'll have to find a way around that. And well, I look forward to any remarks or questions you might have. Just drop them in the comments. This is a YouTube video by the time you see it. So and you can also find the paper there. Okay, thanks for joining, and we might meet up some time in real life. Who knows? Bye-bye.